So here we have three different types of leather. Talk about these in a second. First, I want to address the differences in quality of leather. So if we break it down, there's essentially four tiers of leather, really three. The fourth one we'll talk about in a second. The order goes full grain, top grain, genuine, and bonded. So a full grain leather is going to be warts and all. So it's the top part of the flesh, very strong, tends to have imperfections that were acquired through that animal's life. So whether it's bug bites, scars, barbed wire, brands, all of those imperfections will be seen. Some people like it. I personally really appreciate a nice piece of top grain leather. It's almost exclusively what I use as far as vegetable tan leather goes. Now the next layer down is called top grain leather, which is a little confusing, but essentially what it is through the manufacturing process, the very top layer of that flesh is taken off of the finished side to get rid of all of those imperfections, so you have a very, very consistent piece of leather. No reduction in quality there, just a different aesthetic. Now below that, you have what's called genuine leather. That is this part in here. So that top layer will be taken off. If you ever see it branded on a wallet or a piece of clothing as genuine leather, to me, I always look at that as sort of false advertising. It sounds good, but if they called it dog turd leather, nobody would be bragging about it. What that is typically a piece of leather like this is split for a desired thickness. Somebody will pay a higher price for this top grain or full grain leather, and they will repurpose this cutoff and resell it as a genuine leather. Now sometimes they'll even retexture it, impregnate it with plastics to give it a nice texture. But if you see genuine leather, it's of lower quality. Now the fourth type is bonded leather. You will probably never see that. If you do, run away from it. It is essentially particle board that's made up of leather scrap. It is not durable. It's the lowest quality. So got that out of the way. Now let's talk about these three strips that I have here. That's the focus of the attention. So here we have a piece of vegetable tan leather. I use a lot of vegetable tan leather. The tanning process for this uses natural tannins, and it can take anywhere from weeks to months to make a piece of vegetable tan leather. So it tends to cost a little more. You have a variation in the temper. So it can be a soft temper that's very flexible, be a medium temper that's a little stiffer, or it could be firm. So this is more on the firm side. It'll hold its shape really well. This is good for something like a knife sheath or a holster or something that you needed to maintain its shape. Leather like this can be tooled easily. It can burnish easily. There's a lot of nice applications here. So let's skip this middle one for now and talk about this guy. So this is vegetable tan leather. Essentially what this is, it's a different tanning process. So to make this piece of leather, you're using chromium salts, and it takes the process from weeks to months to hours to weeks. Very fast. I tend not to use this, mainly because of the temper. It tends to be a really soft temper, and it doesn't work for the application that I use it for. But if you were to make bag liners or clothing, this is a decent option. This leather you cannot tool, you cannot burnish. If you want a nice finish edge, you need to roll the edge. Now we've got right here in the middle, this is Horween's Chrome XL. This is a pretty interesting leather. It has characteristics of both. So the tanning process for the Chrome XL starts as a vegetable tanning process and is finished with a chrome tanning process. So this leather takes less time to make than this, more time to make than this. You can't really tool this. You can kind of burnish it because it's halfway in between. So you can get a passable burnish, but it's not going to be really nice like it would be with the veg tan. Typically, I do a rolled edge for this as well because that burnish isn't as ideal as this. Depending on your application is really going to dictate what leather you're going to be using. So if you're not sure the direction you want to take your leatherworking, get some scraps of each of these and start playing around and see what you come up with.